Hello, sorry about that. It was a bit difficult to focus. So, good morning again. Good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to this meditation with me. I'm going to have to start from the beginning on the Deanna Awakening Love page. Hello, of course, all of you that have already said where you are. Don't need to do that again. If any of you are joining new, then hello, welcome, and please say hi where you are. Yeah, had a slight, anyway, everything's fine. So I'm back. Hello again. Yeah, that was necessary because that doesn't usually happen. So and I've also changed the settings now, so I can't be interrupted again. You know, it's all live, don't you, when things are happening and you just can't, like, hello, Staley Bridge. Hello, you're new. Nice to have you here. Yeah, so anyway, we're all back. I got interrupted, needed to just check if there was any problem. There isn't any problem, so I'm back. um I've actually forgotten what I was saying now completely. Anyone like to share anything? Yeah, it's also complex. It's complex, and it's yeah. It's funny, kind of want to just have a conversation, but it's not so easy. No, nothing to do with that actually. Nothing to do with anything making me feel better. Just no. One of the ones that I don't really want in my life so much these days. So yeah, and it's just recognizing that, you know, it's just recognizing that we need to have our own boundaries. Some people we do really want in our lives. Some people are in our lives anyway, and some people we just have to keep the boundaries clear, you know. Yeah, because oh yeah, that's what I was saying, wasn't it? About particularly at this time that we're living in at the moment, people are coming back into our lives. Certainly that's been happening with me. And some people are going out of our lives. I'm sure you're all experiencing that as well. I can see a question. I missed the Sunday in service yesterday. It was awesome. Yes, Sunday in service yesterday was awesome. But I can honestly say it was the most hilarious Zoom meeting I've ever done because everything that could go wrong went wrong. Or you could say it went right. But basically, technically, it was just a disaster because, well, for starters, I couldn't let anyone into the meeting. It would only let me into the meeting. And then there was four of me in the meeting. There was all these photos of me that kept showing up, like there was loads of me in the meeting, but there was no one else in the meeting. They were trying to get in and they were all sending me messages saying we're stuck, we can't get into the meeting. And then people were coming in, but then they couldn't get their camera to work, they couldn't get their the microphone on, so they could either sit in and watch and not speak, or not watch and speak, or, you know, not see themselves and speak, or we couldn't see them. it was, and then it, you know, then we got it sorted out, and it worked really well, but there was still just everyone dropping out, coming back into the call. At one point, we were something hit my window whilst I was doing a Skype, and it was actually a parrot that had escaped from next door, trying to get into my house, making a bit of a racket, and so that completely threw me as well, which was quite funny. But yeah, we had a fabulous meeting. It was very in depth. There was a lot more discussion this time. Lots of things around spirituality, and music was amazing. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to next Sunday. So for anyone that catches this, that sees it, hears it, whether you're watching it on replay, Sunday in service meetings are growing. We've got some beautiful, amazing people speaking. I'm bringing in people that I know now to share a little bit about what they're doing, what they're offering. So yeah, it Zoom yesterday, and then I actually I didn't know, but I saw all on social media that everyone yesterday was having major problems with it, all kinds of catastrophes, and lots of people were having to just completely you know, not go ahead with the meetings that they'd all planned basically yesterday, because they'd had so many technical problems. But we just carried on going. We worked through all the technical issues. I had to shut it down a couple of times and eventually let people in. Like I said, though, there were some speakers that couldn't actually speak because they couldn't get the microphone on. So that was... But in the end, it was all very beautiful, and it was a really deep sharing yesterday. And yeah, I'm excited about the next one, actually. I'm really loving the Sunday in service gatherings, and next Sunday we have got Trinari and Nikki Slade, and I am going to be inviting many of the teachers and my the people that I've met through my events over the years. I'm going to be inviting lots of them to just come and drop in and share something as and when I feel to. Make it a really beautiful community, you know, community connection, meditation, presence space. So yeah, definitely all of you are welcome. As I've said before, you're all welcome. Everyone's welcome. Yeah, yesterday was hilarious. I mean, I was actually laughing through a lot of the Zoom meeting. It was completely unprofessional. I say that jokingly. You know, I did my best, but yeah, as far as from a professional perspective, it was just me laughing every few minutes at one thing or another that had gone wrong, or something that someone said. And yeah, and actually coming back to that, I think there's a theme at the moment which is really about boundaries, about, you know, letting people that we want in our lives, having them in our lives and giving them the space, and also showing how we feel. I think that's so important, especially at this time, because everyone is struggling with their emotions and, you know, relationship situations and all kinds of things. So if we can just really share from the heart, and it helps another to feel that. And even if they're going through a difficult time and they can't respond in the same way, or the way that you would prefer them to respond, at least you've shared your heart, and you've given an opportunity for them to share their heart, or just to feel held, feel heard, feel love, you know, feel loved. So important. Wow, I'm glad you could sort it out. Yes, we did eventually sort it out, but it really was very chaotic, but it was also hilarious. So, you know, we all had a good laugh about it. Yes, it'd be great if you can be there next week. The parrot is absolutely fine. I was a bit stunned because I heard this noise and then couldn't see anything, and then all of a sudden saw this little creature wandering about, but its head was down on my windowsill, and I was wondering, what is that? what's going on. And then it popped its head up, and it was a parrot, and they're just so beautiful. They're all multicolored, and yeah, from next door. And the funny thing was that it had actually escaped from its its little cage up at the top of. They've got an aviary, but this one I think was a slightly younger one, so it's in the house until it can go in the aviary. Anyway, it wasn't in the house. It flew all the way down through the house after they accidentally left the door open for whatever reason, and over the fence and into my garden. And I tried to get into my house by flying out the window. Bless it, it obviously thought it could get through. And there are metaphors in here, aren't there, about, the parrot really wanted to come to me, and that was very clear, wanted to investigate me, these neighbours, that it, it was, trying to get through the window. So it did, I think it did bump its head, basically, but he was absolutely fine. He just stayed on the window ledge. The neighbours came round, they rescued it and took it back. So yeah. But it was really cute to see this parrot. Very unusual, of course. Last thing I was expecting in the middle of the Zoom meeting. Although the interesting thing was, at the moment that it happened, I was talking about nature and how we are multidimensional beings, and when we're in nature we can often have a multidimensional experience, and people can be around us but they may not be having the same experience. It depends if we are fully present to what's going on, if we're fully focused and present, and then nature can open up. I'm sure you've all had those very blissful experiences with nature when you just you're just lying in the garden or you're in a park and you just let go of everything and you just feel all the nature and you feel your connection with nature. I was actually talking about that, and I was talking about how we expand when we're in nature, how our consciousness expands, and then boom, this parrot hit the window, and that was so it was actually very, very relevant that the parrot came to the house at that moment, because I was talking about having different experiences, and I was talking about our multidimensional nature and our connection with nature, because we are nature. And we were also talking about the shamanic path a little bit. And so the shamanic path, of course, is our relationship and connection with nature in all of its variety and beauty. So, it was very appropriate, but also very funny. Beautiful. I saw a hummingbird fly into its nest once in nature. Oh wow, I've never seen a hummingbird, well, yet. I'm sure I will at some point. Gosh, yeah, they're stunning, aren't they? And they fly super fast. They're like, yeah, I've seen them on videos. But yeah, so I think using this time to, when we have our own space, whether it's our homes, our Zoom meetings, or our gardens, our relationships, our friendships, wherever there is a space that we can actually create clear and loving boundaries. I think it's really important to look at that, because many of us aren't taught to have those boundaries. So we don't, so we end up just, everything gets a bit wishy-washy and people don't know where they can come into our lives and where they can't. Hope I'm making sense here. So if we want to protect our space and take care of our hearts and protect our space, take care of our hearts, take care of our well-being, then it's important to have these clear boundaries. And of course, some people in our lives don't have as many boundaries as others. But it's knowing where those are, you know, where those edges are, that we need to say, actually, no, this is my space. And I think when we're working as well, you know, having certain times when we are working and then being very clear about the times when we're not available. I've had a barrage of videos sent to me through this time through Facebook, and video after video about one thing or another. And now I don't mind being sent videos, but without any explanation, without so much as a hi, how are you? It's kind of like, and also, you know, I have a lot of people on my social media, like thousands of people now, and I love that they're all there and it's beautiful, and I'd love to connect with people more. But when people send me friend requests and then ask me to like their page when I've no idea what they actually do or who they are, or, you know, any of this stuff, or they just send me an inbox and invite me to something that I've not requested, or they send me everything about themselves and I also haven't requested that either, then it feels like, you know, those boundaries, those the space that is where I've created a boundary has been crossed. So, you know, it comes in many forms. It might be people posting stuff or tagging you in things, or it can be people walking into your life that you just don't want in your life anymore, as I've mentioned previously. You know, it can be somebody borrowing things you don't really want them to borrow, or just being aware of, you know, where are your boundaries? Where is the space for you? Who are you allowing into that space? Who do you really not want in that space? And, you know, and this goes for all areas of our lives, as I've just mentioned, you know, from social media to our homes, to our work, the times that, you know, we can be available, but we don't have to be available 24/7. It's not feasible. It's not healthy. So, you know, it's taking space for yourself every day to nurture yourself, and then you can allow people into your space, and then you can close your space again and say, actually, no, this is my space and I'm just going to be in my space until I feel that I want to be in your space, or I'd like you in my space. And it's really navigating all of this at this time as well, because everyone is so emotionally charged. I am, just as much as everybody else is, and I have my moments just as much as everyone else does. And we want to reach out, but then we have to realize that other people have their boundaries too. They have their time for themselves. They have their time where they can lean in towards you, and the time where they want to just lean in towards themselves. So we're all kind of, you know, like when you look at grass and you see how the blades of grass move, and how they move together in the wind, and we're kind of like the grass in the wind, you know, we lean in towards each other and we want to connect, and then we lean away from each other when we want to disconnect for a little while. We're never fully disconnected, but I think you understand what I'm saying. So we move together and we connect and we communicate, and then we move apart and we have our own space and our own boundaries. So it's just watching the flow of how this works in your life, you know, of how we connect, how we communicate, how we want to be more of ourselves, how we want to share more of ourselves, but being aware of our own boundaries and also other people's, and protecting our space, and looking after our hearts and listening to our hearts. And sometimes we just need to be the space for others to hear themselves. We don't even need to speak or interact. You know, we're just holding space for someone else to feel what's going on with them by just being a clear mirror for them, a clear, open, loving space. I mean, notice when you're in conversation with someone, maybe face to face, but obviously not so easy these days, or from, you know, through your phone or Zoom or whatever it is, and just recognize that people need to be heard. People want to be heard, they want to be held, they want to be listened to. And some people have never been heard, so when they get an opportunity for someone to just be and listen, then everything comes pouring out. But through allowing them to pour that out, and again, boundaries, so you have to see how this feels for you, but allowing them to pour this out, and then they fall into a space of love because they're being held in that space without any judgment, and they're just able to express themselves. So a really important thing is to learn how to listen to others. So, you know, when we listen to others, often we'll be nodding and talking and maybe interrupting. So can you have someone who wants to share something, and can you just sit and can you just listen to them without nodding, interrupting, or, you know, making some kind of gesture? Can you just be the space of listening for the other? Because when you can be that space of listening for the other, they hear themselves. And often people will recognize their own answers to their own questions through being able to hear themselves through you just being a pure space of listening, a loving space of listening. And these are all things that we're just not taught to do, you know. How many people witness conversations where someone's talking and then somebody butts in, and then it kind of, I've done it myself, you know. I recognized it in myself. You just really want to speak and you want to be heard, and someone else has been talking for ages and you just, you just, you know, you just want to, but can you just hear that and be that space of listening for the other? And in doing that, you also give them the opportunity to be that space of listening for you. And it brings a new quality to communication. Because in that silence, in that loving space, you can hear your own voice. You can hear your own answers. You can hear your own wisdom. And you can release anything that you've been holding on to. We've all had our wounding, we've all had our trauma, and we hold on to stories about our wounding and our trauma. And then we invest in these stories and we play out these stories in our lives. So, you know, for example, a very common one is, and also my own experience, is when a parent leaves the family and the family is left without that parent. Good morning. And the family is left without that parent, and then the child immediately blames themselves for that parent leaving and builds a whole load of stories about themselves based on that parent leaving, like, I'm not good enough, relationships are, you know, difficult, or whatever the story is. You know, I'm not worthy, you know, all these kind of things, these ideas, belief systems that we invest in when we see a parent leave the family situation and then we are left with one of the other parents. This is just one example. There's loads of different examples, but again, I can only speak from my own experience. And then we create a story around that, and then we carry that story about relationships around with us without even realizing. This all becomes, it's immediate. We make a decision about all the things to do with ourselves based on those circumstances, and then it goes into the subconscious and we carry it around with us throughout our lives without realizing. So each time we go into a relationship, we're carrying that blueprint of ideas, those beliefs that we concocted as a child with us. So we say, well, for example, I also went through a phase of, I can't have this relationship fail because that's what happened. But also in that, saying that I can't have this relationship fail, then I'm saying there was something wrong with what happened with the other parent leaving. So bringing on those beliefs, and then you are in judgment about the circumstances, and you also carry that judgment, and then you say that you don't want your life to be like that because there was something wrong with it being like that. And then you put all this pressure on yourself, and often what people do is they're unable to actually sustain a relationship because of these beliefs that they have. They would rather not be in one because they've seen their parents' relationship fail, and so they've built ideas and beliefs around that. I think you all know what I'm talking about, because although this is one example, like I said, there are many examples, and we are often even unaware of how much of a story we've built around something and how much we carry it around with us and how it affects all the areas of our lives. Usually the relationship with ourselves, and then from that primary relationship, our relationships with everyone else, our romantic relationships, and our friendships, and our relationship to how we are in the world and how we experience our life. So what I said before, much earlier on, in the previous video, was if we can be aware of these patterns and just continue to bring our awareness to them and recognize that there's perfection in life. So the ideas and beliefs that we've built up, the stories that we've built up around certain circumstances, when we realize and recognize the perfection in life, actually those stories that we've carried around with us just dissolve. Because any ideas that we've had about ourselves not being this, not being that, needing to live up to this standard, or not wanting to make those mistakes, dissolve, because there were never any mistakes. Nothing ever went wrong with that situation. You wouldn't be the person that you are if you hadn't experienced those things, just as I wouldn't be who I am now if I hadn't experienced those things. So really look at, just maybe even today or whenever you watch this, just look at the beliefs and conditionings that you have around the circumstances that you grew up with, the things that you experienced, the trauma that you carry around with you, and just really look into it, investigate it, and notice that nothing actually went wrong. But your beliefs about what happened made it wrong. And then you acted from that place. And you lived your life from that place. So bringing awareness, this is bringing awareness to the shadow things that we carry around with us. Bringing the light into the shadow. Not so we can get rid of the shadow, but the shadow just dissolves of its own accord once we bring the light of awareness into it. If you agree with me, just let me know. Just put yes, I agree, or that's my experience, or even if you've experienced something similar. Obviously, I'm just coming from one perspective here. There are lots of different things that people have experienced that they've built stories around, and lots of different types of trauma. And I'm not dismissing how you feel in any way, but just recognize that there's something that you've held on to that isn't actually the truth. It's not the truth of who you are. It's not the truth for your life. But if you're invested in it, it could keep showing up like the truth. So just going to read this. You are making very good points here about the whole listening thing. Yes, so important. I think that when you reach a point of listening better to yourself and hearing yourself more, then it's kind of naturally comes to the whole outside world. With this steadfast meditation, inner silence attitude, you can, where's that gone now? You can see a lot of things that you couldn't see before. Yes, I'm just discovering more and more that is actually the true power, not necessarily invest a lot in an outside world, but rather go inside, develop the inner. That's how all of the other things like listening to others and seeing the world more clearly is becoming more natural and easy. Yes, but you have to practice that with others. So you can sit in silence and you can go in within yourself as much as you like, but you also have to be in the world and experience the world with others. And it's very important that you use the skills that you've learned with others. Yes, I agree. What you're saying is true. I agree. I don't expect you all to agree with me, by the way, of course. But yes, interesting that you do. Same rules apply to what you've said about circumstances and beliefs. It's less of the childish attitude of confronting the world and more the deep inner silent work of changing your beliefs. Yes, but in order to change your beliefs or dissolve your beliefs, you have to recognize that you've got them. That's the funny thing, is recognizing that you've got those beliefs and that you've built up those stories, and being able to see that they're not the truth of the situation. That's the challenge, is kind of like, you're digging a well, and you're trying to get to the treasure that's in there. It's in there. You've got all this stuff that you've accumulated over many years, and you're digging out this well, trying to get to the truth of the matter, and you realize that all the stuff that's accumulated in the bottom of this well is not the truth, but you've built up all these ideas about yourself, all these beliefs on circumstances and experiences that you've had, and you've fully blamed yourself in some way, or you've changed your behavior in some way, or you've created an internal dialogue about yourself, and which you repeat on a regular basis, which is not the truth. But because you're doing this, these things keep showing up in your life. So you think, why have I got all these patterns? Why do these patterns keep appearing? Why am I continuously experiencing this with, And it's because of these beliefs and these thought patterns, these records of thought and the way that we self-talk, that have created this experience to some level. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, it's about, it's about digging through this stuff, this gunk, if you like, this stuff, and seeing what's real, seeing what's true, seeing you as you are, without all this stuff about your parents or your life, or all the stuff that you've put onto yourself. Who are you without all of that? The answer is you're whole, you're real, you're true, you're complete, you're healthy, and you're not carrying anything around with you. You're free. So there's a great opportunity at the moment to look at all of this, to look at your boundaries, to look at how you listen to others, how you can be a space of listening for yourself and others, to offload ideas about relationships because of parents' relationships or breakups or ancestral stuff. To really free yourself. To really free yourself. Because this stuff, you know, it shows up in ways we never expected, and which is why it's a continuous unearthing and a digging out of this well, this well of beliefs and ideas. And it's like, recognize the ones that are limiting you. Recognize the beliefs that are limiting you in any area of your life. What is it that you believe so deeply, so truly, that it's limiting you? You're limiting yourself with your beliefs. Your limitless nature is being limited with what you believe in. You're unlimited. You're an unlimited edition. You're unique. You're unlimited. You know, investigate your relationships, investigate your beliefs around relationships, investigate your beliefs about yourself. If you, right now, what are the main things that you believe about yourself? List some of them. If you want to put them in the comments, please go ahead. What are the main things that you believe about yourself? And just notice, are they kind? Are they loving? Would you be happy if someone else said that to you? And most importantly, are they true? Are they true? Have you got fact-based evidence that these beliefs about yourself are true? I'm betting you don't. I'm betting you don't. So watch the mind with the interactions with others, with your relationships. Watch the stories that come up. Just be aware. And remember, everyone is going through their own process at the moment. And you are going through yours. And the more of this well we can dig, and the more treasure that we can find, the more this beautiful new you is going to emerge. The more of this beautiful new you is going to emerge from this experience. Very much like the butterfly in the chrysalis, all tight and stuck. But if you help a butterfly out of its chrysalis, it's going to die. If you help a chick out of its shell, it's going to die. Because we need that element of struggle. We need that element of uncomfortableness. We need that element of stuckness to see, to really see what's real, what's true. So we need that element of struggle to grow, to expand. Wow, I'm really relating to what you're talking about this morning. I think many people can. Yes, absolutely. Well, actually, that's exactly what gets me in trouble. I believe we live only once, and I believe I should live in the way that makes me happy, instead of living according to what's expected or what we were raised into, and that's still not a popular opinion in society. Yes, but it's your life. I mean, you are life, but it's your, it's your experience of it. So grab it with both hands. Absolutely. It's not for anyone else to make any decisions about your life. Of course not. Don't give your power away. They have their own experience. You have to trust. Be led by your heart in life. Trust. Follow your intuition. Yeah, but that's their judgments. They're only going to affect you if you take them on board, and there's some part of you that's invested in the ideas that they have around the judgments. So look at that. Where do you judge yourself? What parts of you do you judge? What parts of you do you judge? And then look at those judgments. Are they true? Thank you for your lovely comments and your likes and your hearts. So I think we'll move on to meditation now. And if you want to get yourselves comfortable and sit with your back straight, make sure that you're warm enough. Put your headphones on, go into another room if you need to, bring people into the room if you want to, share this with your friends, with your communities, because we're going to start the meditation very soon. I'm just reading a couple more comments. I feel like I'm doing what's right for me. It's just sad to see people you care about not approve. Yes. But they may come round to understand, and then again they may not, and that's actually more to do with them. But again, look if there's any parts of you that don't approve of yourself as well. Just investigate all of this that's showing up. It's so warm in here this morning. It's really lovely. The sun's coming through the window. It's warming my skin. So nice. Right, let's all just take a breath together. And just if you want to place your hands, both of your hands in the middle of your chest, and just breathe and connect with your heart. Letting the breath soften. And if you need a blanket, grab a blanket. If it's late where you are, you can lie down. I'm going to rest my hands on my knees again with my palms facing up towards the sky. It is important to live your life the way you want to live it. Absolutely. So we're just going to close our eyes now and just feel into the body. And just notice how you feel right now. Breathing easily and gently. Bringing the focus and awareness to your breath. And breathing in and out slowly with awareness. You might need to take a slightly deeper breath. You really relax your whole body. And continuing to stay focused on the breath. Staying focused on the breath. Feeling the expansion within. breathing easily and gently, continuing to stay focused on the breath. Allowing the silence to wash over you. Breathing in more deeply now. Just noticing how the body's feeling. And when you feel ready, you can slowly begin to open your eyes. And if you'd like to, you can have a stretch. Thank you so much for joining me for this morning's meditation. If you would like to connect with me, you can connect with me on my Deanne Awakening Love page or my Deanne G page. And please do check out my website, which is www.awakeninglove.co.uk. And I'll be back here tomorrow at 8 AM British Summertime, London time. I look forward to being with you. If any of you are finding any value in these meditations and would like to make a donation, I will just let me know by putting PayPal in the comments below this video, or you can message me directly, private message me directly for my PayPal information. Wishing you all a beautiful, blessed day, and I look forward to being with you all tomorrow at the same time, 8 AM GMT, British Summertime, London time. Thank you for all your beautiful comments and for being here with me and making this commitment to yourselves as well. We're soon coming up to day 60 now, so if any of you would like to see my other meditations and sharings, then you're very welcome to go to my YouTube channel as well, and just put YouTube in the comments below this video. Have a blessed day, all of you. Blessed evening, blessed afternoon, wherever you are. Much love, and see you all again tomorrow.